Hey, what's up guys? I've been getting some questions about how long it takes me to outsource an article and then start getting a return back on that article, or in other words, once I pay for an article, how long before it becomes profitable and I start making money off of it. So for this video, I put some data together. I went back and dug through some of my articles that are performing well, put together a little diagram, and just did some other things like that so you can help get a better view of my business model and how long I expect it to take before an article starts making money. Now, disclaimer, there is no one answer. Every article is different, every site is different, and there are just too many variables to give a blanket answer. So what I did was I went and looked at my 50 top earning articles, my 50 top earning URLs on AdThrive, and out of those 50, I picked out 10 that were all in the same cluster. And those are the 10 that we're working with in this video. So with all that being said, let's get into it. Let's hop over to my computer. So first we're going to look at this diagram of how this content publishing business works. So for many of you, you already know this, but for those of you that don't, here's a high overview. So if this hose pipe here represents your website, this first funnel here, this top funnel, represents where you pour in new content or where you write articles. So let's say we're up here writing new articles every day and we're putting them into this funnel. And when you put them into this funnel, they end up in the pipeline. Now, some of you may know the pipeline as the Google sandbox. And what that means is once they make it into the pipeline, they're going to float around in here for a while. Google's going to test them, and we don't actually know how long they're going to be in the sandbox, aka the pipeline, but it's around 3 to 6 months. Now, once Google has determined that it is worthy, that the article is worthy of getting a little more attention and making it to the first page, it will slowly drip out here into this bottom funnel, which leads to the first page of Google. And once you make it to the first page of Google, that's where you can monetize with display ads and affiliate links, and that piece of content that you paid for 3 to 6 months ago will actually start earning money. So the more articles you have in the pipeline, the more often they're going to be dripping out of the faucet, the more often you're going to have new pieces of content making it to the first page of Google. Now, there are constantly new articles being added to the pipeline if you want to really scale your business. And the goal is to get as many on the first page, ideally the first 3 spots or even the first spot as possible. Now, some are going to make it out quicker than others, and some aren't going to make it out at all. Some are just going to be duds and they end up being a waste of time, and that's just how it goes. But you want to be able to learn from it. So you want to go back 6 to 8 months later or however long and figure out why it didn't perform and why that particular article was a waste of your time, so you don't repeat that again in the future. On the second slide here, I'm going to give you an overview of the following spreadsheet we're about to look at. So I told you that this sampling is of 10 articles, all in the same cluster, and those 10 articles represent 10 out of my top 50 performing articles. Out of those 10, I selected 5. And the reason I did that is because those 5 had aged almost a year or more. I think out of those 5, they were all either 11 or 12 months old or older. So out of those year-old articles or more, the average article price was about $50. And I determined that after 12.6 months of aging in Google, I was earning an average of $81 per month from each one of those articles from display ads alone. This isn't counting any affiliate links that may or may not have been in those articles, though most of them did not have any affiliate links. This is solely from display ads. The RPM was an average of about $30 across those 5 articles. Now, here are some things to know about these 5 articles. They are all from the same cluster, and they are all listicles. Now, as I mentioned, each one of these articles are at least 11 or 12 months old, so they're about a year old or more. Also, there are thousands of possible topics in this cluster. I only went after 33 of them so far because there are just such a vast amount of topics to choose from that I went after, over the last year or so, I went after 33 of these. Now I've determined that they are profitable. It took about a year for me to feel pretty good about it, but I've determined they are profitable. They're definitely worth my time. And over the last month or so, I have been going after a lot more of them. I think I've done about, I have about 40 or 50 more in the pipeline that we just looked at. And I'm going to continue to keep adding more and more to the pipeline so that I can just keep stacking and stacking and stacking these little mini income streams. Now, I will also add that $81 a month per article is very high. That's not going to be an average across my entire site. As we take a larger sampling size, that average is going to go down a lot. So, I don't know. I'm not going to do an entire across all 500 or whatever articles on this particular site. I just didn't want to take the time to do that. I just wanted to show you a sampling of some of my better performing articles out of a certain cluster. Because I've mentioned in the past, I'm always looking for clusters. This is a good cluster that I want to fully exploit now. So having said that, I'm not saying, oh, every single article I ever write gives me $81 a month. That is not what I'm saying here. But out of this particular cluster, I have determined that any article that ages to about 12 months or more is going to bring an average of $81 a month. And as we get a larger sampling size, that will probably go down. Regardless, that's still pretty impressive. Another thing to add is that these articles may or may not go in and out of season. So, one article may be about, this is purely an example, one article may be about, how to cut down trees or something. What types of trees are easy to cut down. That may be more popular in the spring and summer than it is in the winter. So there are many variables that can determine seasonality and stuff like that. So an article that's earning an average of $81 a month in the summer may only earn an average of $20 a month in the winter. So with all that being said, this is the average I came out with for 5 articles out of this cluster that were a year old or more. Now let's take a look at this next slide that I've created, which is the spreadsheet that shows these articles. Now you can see over here that this top earning article only cost me $57 and it is 18 months old. So is that coincidence that it happens to be the oldest article? Possibly, I don't know. The second top earning article was $102, 45, 56, 58. And you can see here that, they're all in this $50 to $100 range, but the top 10 average out to $65. Now these two here kind of skew this total a little bit. I don't think these articles needed to be quite this long, 2,500 and 3,600. So what I did here is I went to the top 5, and this gives us a better average. So these are all over a year old. This doesn't include any of the ones that are 6, 9, 3, 7 months old. These are all 11 months old or greater, so about a year old or more. And this is where the average is $50. And this is also where the average return per month after a year is $81. And you can see some other averages I came up with here. But the final totals are, for these 5 articles, it was just a $251 investment. And after 1 year, from just that $251 investment, I have created $405 per month recurring, maybe indefinitely. You know, like I said, there's seasonality and stuff like that, but for the most part, I've created $405 from $251, and not just $405, $405 per month. So that's an incredible return. But the tricky part is you have to wait 12.6 months, and most people are not willing to do that. So this final sheet here shows 4 out of these top 5 articles that we were just looking at in the last slide. And these numbers here just represent the amount of page views they've gotten in the last 30 days. So this first one, you can see, was pretty flat for, you know, about 5 months, and then it just took off and it stayed pretty steady, and it's still climbing a little bit. This one here that's getting about 1,000 page views a month, which is still pretty good, has been pretty much all over the place, but it's kind of back on the rise. And this isn't really what I want to see as much because of these jagged spikes and valleys. It tells me that it's probably the type of content that's very popular on the weekends and then just takes a plummet during the week. I don't know. I prefer something steady like this, or even this. And then again on this one, you can see for the first about 4 to 5 months, not really much was happening, and then it takes off. And again on this one, just some, you know, a little bit of traffic was trickling in. Then after about 6 months, it looks like something went viral here, probably got shared on social media, got a huge spike, and then it normalized. And then I've got a nice baseline of traffic here. So that's really all I wanted to show you in this video. You can't really put a number on how long it's going to take to get your money back, but you can have an estimate when it comes to, at least for me, when it comes to certain keyword clusters. If I've discovered a cluster that I've tested thoroughly, and sometimes that takes a year, and it's come back as profitable, then I can have an idea of, okay, if I publish 100 more articles out of this cluster, this is about what I can expect. That's how I do it anyway, because every article is different, every topic is different, every site is different, every niche is different, everything is different, so I can't really put an exact number or even an accurate estimate on that. But when I do it this way, I can. Okay, well, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.